What's up, guys? Rick here with your preview for this week's WWT Championship. This is the newer-ish style event, or at least new golf course they're playing in Cabo at Tiger Woods Golf Course. There's also an event in Abu Dhabi this week, so we can cover that a lot on the live chat on Wednesday as well. But nice to be back in the saddle. Nice to be rocking and rolling. I don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's get right after it. This is the Course Key Stats tool. This might look different to a lot of you. I kind of soft launched this on Twitter a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago, and it is a complete and utter overhaul to the Course Key Stats model and the way it is displayed. The goal is to make it easier to consume, more actionable data, and model a little bit more predictively. Now, this is a bad week to show it. Not a bad week. It's just not a full week because there is no shot link data, or there has not been historic shot link data in the past, and there's only 2 years worth of data. So you'll see when we get to places like Bay Hill, this becomes a lot more actionable because you're getting more predictive modeling. So we'll talk about all of this when we get there. But for now, it's El Cardonal, it's Diamante. This is a resort in Cabo, Tiger Woods. Again, resort style golf course, Paspalum greens, large fairways, not a lot of trouble if you miss large greens, not a lot of trouble if you miss the fairway, right? That is what resort golf is. If you look at the scoring rates, 23% birdie or better, that is 5% more than the PGA Tour average. Obviously, then, not in all cases, but in most cases, the bogey or worse percentage is going to be lower, and that's the case here. If you look at the scorecard, and even without the shot link data, we can do this regression model, and the regression model has been updated. So previously I had the primary stats in what was like a spider graph, and then I had the secondary stats in a table on the side. And what I've done is I've basically just meshed those together, merged them together into this bar chart. And this bar chart are basically, I think it's like the top 40 best stats. So it's your strokes gain stats. It's some of the drive. It's, you're rarely going to see like 75 to 100 yards from the right hand rough. It pops up. It's not actionable. It's a very bad stat. So these are the best stats to use. And then they're, of course, ranked or sorted by how strong of a correlation they are. Higher correlation to the right and to the green, that's better. White, that's kind of your middle stats. Red, those are your weaker correlations. And then if you hover over them, you'll be able to see what the ranks are. So just quick tutorial there. What this ends up showing is that you want to be a pretty prolific birdie maker. So birdie to bogey ratio and birdie average and birdie or better percentage are 3 of the top 4 most correlated to stats to success at this golf course. And remember, that is not just while they're playing here. That is their season stats, right? Their last 100 round stats. The guys that are like, hey, they're birdie makers everywhere. They come here and they have more success than usual. So birdie to bogey ratio is usually a pretty highly correlated stat, but it ranks 13th, which means there's only 12 other courses in which birdie to bogey ratio is more important. Well, now that I'm doing this model, there's like 90 courses. There used to be 50 courses. Now there's 90 courses. So it is pretty significant when you start getting even inside the top 25 for some of these stats. After that, you see par 4 scoring, you see par 3 scoring, and you see 3-putt avoidance. And then putts made over 10 feet. That would be the last one, and maybe greens in regulation. Those would be the last ones that are in the green strong zone, if you will. Maybe we'll come up with a cooler name than that, but like that green zone where those correlation values are significant and they are strong. So you're talking about par 3 scoring, par 4 scoring, no surprise there. Birdie makers, large greens, so 3-putt avoidance, like a charm. Every time you get large greens, 3-putt avoidance starts to become a lot more correlated to success because you get guys that have 50-foot, 60-foot, 70, 80-foot putts that are getting to the range where you are much more likely to 3-putt than you are to make those putts. So that always pops up. And then putts made over 10 feet. Okay, now we're cooking. That's where you make birdies from. Now, if this was a different course with ShotLink, I would be able to show you what the approach bins are, which is what this is showing right now. But you'll see for a course it's blank, so it's just showing you tour averages right now. And it would show you the relative shots. So if 20% of the shots are coming from 100 to 125, that would be plus 12 because the tour average is only 8. Okay, so it would be relative to tour average. Then what I do now is I try to predict this a little bit more. So knowing where these guys' shots are going to come from, knowing their skill base for each one of these shots in strokes gained, not in proximity. Proximity is not a very good stat, but strokes gained is. You can predict an adjustment in terms of strokes gained approach, which is what I've done here. Now, again, this week, this isn't very actionable because it's just using PGA Tour average numbers, okay? Still, Victor Perez gets a bump. Henrik Norlander gets a bump. Ben Coles gets a bump. These guys are getting positive approach adjustments, but it's relative to tour average, not opposed to this golf course. And then I'm going to do the same thing, and I do the same thing for putting. So we know make percentages from inside 5 feet, 6 to 9 feet, 10 to 15, 15 plus at each golf course. And we know, I've started to calculate now, the strokes gain metrics for each golfer's putting numbers from those ranges. And we know the frequency in which they're going to come from for each player. So now you start to be a little bit predictive and you give guys putting adjustments. So we're talking about those putts from 10 feet and on being very highly correlated to success at this golf course. The guys who gain the most strokes on those putts per putt, Taylor Montgomery, Sam Ryder, Matty Schmid, Jacob Bridgman, Max Grazerman. I've got thousands of putts on these guys. This is only for 2025. I've got tens of thousands of shots for all of these guys, right? I mean, Ben Coles, 1,500 approach shots are going into his model. Matty Schmid, 2,200 putts going into his model. And then we can start to make those putting adjustments. So guys that get a good 10 to 15 adjustment and a good putting adjustment overall, Sam Ryder, Nico Echeverria, Gordon Sargent, he doesn't have as many putts as everybody else does, Sammy Valimaki, to name a few. And then if you see where this is going, the new adjusted course fit takes your adjustment off the tee, your adjustment on approach, your adjustment with the putter, and adjusts you per round. So the easy way to look at this, and again, this week is not a great example because it's not the ShotLink data, but we'll talk about this a lot in the next months and years moving forward. A way to say this would be something like Michael Thorbjornsen gets a 0.94 stroke per round skill adjustment on this golf course. Okay? Because he gets a big boost off the tee, gets a pretty good boost on approach, and he is flat with the putter. That adds up to nearly a stroke per round. Okay. So this will continue to evolve, but the idea around this is being as predictive as possible, as opposed to retrospectively, and using every single shot to start building these models out. So I'm really proud of it. Check it out. Again, it'll get a lot better as the weeks go on and they have ShotLink. It'll be very easy to see what's going on here, but I hope that's enjoyable for y'all. Okay, here's the cheat sheet on my website, RickRunGood.com. All this is on RickRunGood.com, obviously, if I didn't mention that. We've got 3 golfers over $10,000, and this is a really interesting group. We've got Ben Griffin, who has been, out of everybody in this field, maybe the second best player in this field for 2025. He does it in a lot of good ways. He's a very strong putter. He plays an international game. He just came back from India where he finished 32nd and he picked up 6.2 strokes from tee to green. He actually struggled putting there and at Bethpage, which is very rare because he's one of the better putters that we have on the PGA Tour. He's played this event each of the last 2 years, he's played here 2 of the last 3 years. He's only played once at El Cardonal. He finished T24. El Camaleon hosted this event prior. That's now a live course. I played that course last year. Very fun course. El Camaleon, beautiful. They don't play it there anymore. So keep that in mind. There's only 2 years worth of data at El Cardonal at Diamante, which is the Tiger Woods golf course. The interesting thing about Ben Griffin is, as much as I love Ben Griffin, He's $10,500. JJ Spawn is $100 cheaper, has had the better year. So I would say JJ Spawn, of everybody in this field, has had the best 2025. Is that actually true? That's my opinion. Let's go look. So everybody in 2025 in this field, minimum 20 starts, strokes gained. Let me zoom out a little bit so you guys can see it. Strokes gained total per round. I only want PGA Tour rounds. I'm not going to give these guys credit. Oh, it is Ben Griffin. It is incredibly close, though. Ben Griffin's 1.17. JJ Spawn is 1.14. JJ Spawn, of course, has the victory at the U.S. Open. Very, very sound. Both these guys are great, but I would say JJ Spawn's been better in 2025. Should be well rested. Hasn't played since the Ryder Cup. He's played here one time. He finished T30. That was last year. The other thing that I find interesting about JJ Spawn is you did not see driving distance anywhere near the most correlated stats to success at El Cardonal. In fact, the three lowest correlated, weakest correlations, the three are ball speed, club head speed, and driving distance. Okay, so if you're JJ Spawn and the things that you do poorly, driving distance, all drives, 103 on tour, club head speed, 116 miles an hour, 88th on tour, and his ball speed is, 173. Nothing to write home about, right? So ball speed, club speed, and carry below average. Those are the three things that statistically just do not matter. So I'm going to be firing quite a bit of JJ Spawn every chance that I can get. And then Rico Hoey has probably been the fall MVP. No wins, but he's got the 10th place or the 9th place finish at the Procore, the 4th in Japan, the runner-up at the Black Desert. The metrics are beyond amazing. The putter that he has unlocked with the long putter has not always been outstanding. Like, for example, he only gained a stroke putting last week, but the last 3 rounds, he picked up like 5 strokes putting after a really dismal start. It has not been always perfect for Rico with the new putter, but it's been good enough to keep him in things because of what a great ball striker that he is. So it's hard to dislike any of these guys, but you're probably going to see me take on a significant stand on JJ Spawn here. I probably wish he would have played a little bit more this fall, but I'm pretty happy with the way he sets up for this golf course. The 9K range is great here. I might try to catch Max Grazerman in this spot. Finished runner-up at the Bay Current Classic, the Japanese event, which had shot length, but it was so bad and so wrong. Actually, the PGA Tour recommended not using it. So I don't know how Max did it strokes gained wise, but he finished runner-up. He also finished 4th at this event last year. Max has had post Rocket Classic. So basically from the late summer on, he has not been himself. It has not looked good. It has been very different than what we've normally seen. If he is, quote, back after taking a month off and is back to doing what he was doing for the year prior to that, he'd be a very strong approach player. He'd be a very strong putter at a golf course that he has finished well at. And I think this is a great spot to grab him. So you're probably going to see me also take a little bit more risk on Max Grazerman. Garrick Higgo might be in the top 5 of fall MVPs at the moment. He's got 3 straight top 7 finishes at 3 completely different golf courses, right? You've got Silverado in Napa, you've got the Country Club of Jackson, and you've got Yokohama Country Club. All 3 of those places asking you different things. He gains across the board in all of them. He has found it, right? He has found the game that we saw him have a lot early in his career. DP World Tour, coming over, winning the event in South Carolina at Congaree, and we're starting to see that much more now. So you're going to see me get a pretty good bit of exposure to Grazerman, Higgo, but I understand there's a lot of risk involved. If you noticed, when I went to the Holy Grail and I looked at just PGA Tour events in 2025, it was Ben Griffin 1, JJ Spawn 2, Thorbjorn Olesen, number 3. And if you dive deeper into that, it's a lot of really good play. He misses more cuts than a lot of his peers. You see that here. He's missed a third of his cuts in 2025, which is half or twice the rate of JJ Spawn. But he has got a bunch of top 20s, 25%. When he plays well, he finishes inside the top 10, inside the top 5. He has a very strong strokes gained profile where he gains in all 4 major categories. I think this is a really interesting spot because you're going to get everybody in on Michael Thorbjornsen, and you're going to get in on Higo, and maybe people are going to be in on Kevin Yu, or even what Michael Brennan did. And what does that leave Thorbjorn Olesen? Just like, well, now what? It's a pretty decent spot, I think, to run him out. He is making his debut, but I'm not too worried about that. Look at these last 4. Look at these last 6. All over the world. 5 top 20s. Denmark, the Danish Golf Championship, Irish Open, Jackson, Mississippi, Madrid, Southern Utah. Sick. Here's Michael Brennan. Are we buying this? We're going to find out. I don't even have a headshot for him yet. I guess I should update that. Michael Brennan wins the Black Desert with some pretty gaudy numbers. 7.5 strokes gained off the tee. He pulled driver in places you shouldn't pull driver, and he executed it. Picked up 2 strokes on approach. Picked up 6 with the putter. 5.5 with the putter. I'm going to assume we've got regression coming. Probably unlikely that you can gain 7 strokes off the tee at at El Cardonal without being Bryson DeChambeau and hitting it like 400 yards. So that is probably not going to happen again. Putter, probably not going to. But I will say, I don't think I'll get to Michael Brennan this week, but I will be in on Michael Brennan a lot in 2026. I think what the most likely scenario is we start to see that sigh of relief that we see a lot from guys who win early and win for the first time. He's at a golf course that is not going to allow him to put together the same stat profile that he put together in Southern Utah. But we're going to find a lot of really good spots for Michael Brennan that are not necessarily now paying $9,000 for it, with a $9,000 range that's pretty savvy. If you are, though, trying to decide between Brennan and maybe some of the guys in the upper 8K range, I'd probably prefer Brennan. But I think you're going to see a lot of my exposure go towards some of these other guys who are a little bit more expensive. The 8K range is a little soft. Still wondering what Wyndham Clark is going to be up to. His run and metrics have not been good for the past few months. No really idea or feel for what's going to happen there. Nick Taylor, I'm a believer in, but Pearson Coody is probably the guy that I've been singing the praises for the most, and I'm quite happy about that. The third at the Black Desert, I've probably said this 15 times, but back and forth between the Korn Ferry Tour, he's been very strong. His last 2 PGA Tour events alone were a 14th in Sanderson Farms and a 3rd at the Black Desert. Really talented player, drives it well, just a lot of game, great pedigree out of Texas, like all that stuff. So probably just defaulting to Pearson Coody. As much as I love Nico Echeverria, and he put up a pretty solid title defense in Japan, that feels more like an outlier than anything. Jacob Bridgman shows up on a lot of those modeling the course. We don't have a lot of data, but small sample size. Jacob Bridgman shows up in a pretty good spot. Finished 14th here last year. Not thrilled. Again, just really not thrilled about the entirety of this 8K range. Jesper Svensson is just kind of like a statistical darling at the moment. He hits the ball so hard and so far. He gives himself a 3 or 4 stroke off the tee advantage. Just with that club alone, you see ball speed. He's 4th in this field, club speed. He's 4th in this field, 123 miles an hour. Ball speed, he's 5th in this field. Carry, he's very high at 306 yards. Kind of sprays it all over the place in a lot of different directions. I don't think that's a huge issue here, but I am waiting for him to kind of put a lot of this together. He cannot putt to save his life on a golf course that's going to ask you to try to avoid a lot of 3 putts and make a lot of putts from 10 feet. That's probably a concern. So we'll keep an eye. Admittedly, Paspalum greens usually make bad putters better. In fact, if you start looking at, let's just do this real quick here. Last couple of years, let's do back to 2022 on Paspalum, and we're going to look at strokes gained total because there's not always a shot link available at Paspalum golf courses because they're usually tropical, they're usually coastal, they're usually foreign outside of America. They don't usually take it there. So guys that have putted well, Chan Kim, who's not a very good putter in general, putts well on Paspalum. Joel Damon putts well on Paspalum. Ben Griffin even better. You'll see guys like, I was looking for Emiliano Grillo. Here he is, gaining 2/3 of a stroke putting on Paspalum and plays pretty much well above his baseline. Hasn't lost strokes putting in any of his has never lost strokes putting in a measured Paspalum event in 2022, since 2022. Now, he missed the cut here 2 years ago. No shot link. We don't know how he did there, right? So it's a double-edged sword, but if there was a place where you'd hope Svensson could putt to a 0, maybe you hope it's here. Hope is not particularly a good strategy, though, but I'm pointing it out if you want to make that decision for yourself. The talent that resides at $7,900 alone, I think, is going to garner a lot of attention. Johnny Kiefer is $7,900. He is, I don't know if his PGA Tour status starts now or if it's 2026, but he's through. He won Korn Ferry. I think he won both Player of the Year and Rookie of the Year on the Korn Ferry Tour, which I think the last guy to do that was either Scotty Scheffler or Justin Thomas. Don't quote me on that. It also does not mean that Johnny Kiefer is going to turn into either one of those guys, but he is phenomenal. He's very, very talented. Again, we don't have a lot of his data. We have a lot more data, a lot less data on him than anybody else. But I think what you're going to see, he's right here. Young, modern, 120 mile an hour club speed, 181 ball speed, puts him 12th in this field. Just a ridiculous specimen who has won at every single level. And $7,900 is criminally low at a golf course that is not going to throw much penalty at you and is going to ask you to make a ton of birdies, which is what these guys' specialties are. He's going to be very popular. Takumi Kanaya is also $7,900. A longer burn for Kanaya, but one of the best amateurs in the world, turns pro, starting to find his feet a little bit, right? 21st at the Sanderson Farms, 4th at the Bay Current. He won a Japanese event in there somewhere. 33rd at the Black Desert. I love this guy. I think he's incredibly talented. He is older than Johnny Kiefer, right? 3 years older, probably a better amateur career, but is taking a little bit more time in professional golf to get everything figured out, but it looks like he is starting to get everything figured out. A couple other guys in the $7,400 range. You'll see me on Luke Clanton. It is with a little bit of caution, but come on. He doesn't go from being everybody's shiny new object to $7,400 and dead to the world in the time frame that he has. Yes, he's turned pro. Yeah, it's harder when you turn pro. He is still an elite driver, a very good approach player, and he's gained strokes with the putter in each of his last 2. He has a short game problem. Don't miss these 8,000 square foot greens, okay? You won't have to worry about your short game at all. It's a resort golf course. Go out and just smash this place. That is exciting to me for Luke Clanton at $7,400. William Mao and Taylor Montgomery are still 2 very highly ranked 7K players, Patrick Fishburne as well, in the strokes gained trend department. So playing over their 100 round baseline, William Mao is basically now a stroke per round player. Montgomery a little bit better than that. Fishburne a hair better than that. And both Mao and Montgomery's significant improvements have come from tee to green. Mao is actually, oh boy, Peter Cade, I don't know how he pronounces that, is screwing up my chart here. But the William Mao stuff even with a win, looks like he is still due for a statistical come up. He is still putting below his 100 round baseline, despite a win, a 7th and a 38th and an 18th place finish that I had to throw away his shot link data from in Japan, right? Miscut the Black Desert. Not good. Unique golf course. I can make a lot of excuses for that. I don't think William Mao is done. I think there's another top 10 coming this fall. 7,400, maybe another win is coming. Probably not. But the stats are very positive. That I thought I was going to come up with a cooler word than positive. Very good for Mr. Mao. Let's see if Ben Coles is going to make a putt this week. Probably not, though. He was a 0 putter at the Black Desert. That's all we ask. T20 with a 0 with the putter. Love that for you. Last time he was a 0, T8 at the ISCO. So that's all we're asking for, Mr. Coles. That's all we're asking for. Jackson Suber, amongst all the other guys with great collegiate and amateur records, I feel like has gotten lost in the mix. Finished 15th at the Black Desert. A lot of it was with the flat stick. However, he's a very, very good putter. It's already the second time in his last 10 starts he's gained 5 strokes with the flat stick, so I'm not too concerned about that. He could fill it up in a big way at this place, make a lot of birdies. The most mispriced guy is David Ford. And I sat here 2 weeks ago, or was it last week? 2 weeks ago. I don't know what it was. And what conversation did I have? I said, listen, I don't know when David Ford is going to figure this out, but he's going to figure it out. He's now through PGA Tour U, has his tour card, is incredibly talented. Incredibly talented. Look at the driver. Multiple strokes with the driver every time he tees it up. Starting to show some better signs in the other areas. We've got a putting problem again, but he picked up 4 strokes putting at the Black Desert. He gets on past Palom. Who knows? Finishes 3rd at the Black Desert. He is $6,700. We do not need much. And he has top 8 upside in this field. So really, really excited for him the next 12 months, the next 12 years, but is very playable in this spot. Let's run a model here. And I'm going to refresh my memory. So we want birdie makers, par 3, par 4 scoring, 3-putt avoidance, putts, especially outside of 10 feet. We're not putting a lot of emphasis on distance, club head speed, ball speed, apex height. We're not putting any emphasis on that. So what we will do is we will run this model for the last, we got to kind of go 50 rounds. We'll put a little bit of our weighted strokes gained total baseline in there just for solidarity. 15 on weighted strokes gained total. So now we are going to say, go make some birdies. I want birdies or better gained for 20. I want putting from 10 to 15 feet and 15 to 20 feet for 10. Those are like your bonus putting zones. We could also put 10 on approach putt performance because that is like how to avoid 3 putts. Okay. We could also do slower greens. Paspalum generally runs much slower. That would give us like 40 on putting. Let's put 5 on slow greens. Let's put 10 on strokes gained par 3, 10 on strokes gained par 4. Course history. Do I want course history? I don't think I do. Where's our last 10 going to go? Bogey avoidance? No, I don't care about that, do I? Driving? No. Approach? I guess I could do opportunities plus gained, which would be approaches with inside 10 feet for birdie relative to the field. All right, let's see what happens. My number one golfer, okay, wow, oh boy, is Ben Griffin. That's fine. I'm not surprised about that. My number two golfer is Taylor Montgomery, which is a little bit scary. He is getting just a significant boost on all the putting metrics, which is like half of the stuff that we have here, and is actually pretty good on par threes and par fours because he's terrible on par fives. Schmidt is 3. Higo is 4. Grillo is 5. JJ Spawn is 6. Victor Perez, Keith Mitchell, Eric Cole, Max Grazerman. Okay. I'm going to favorite some of these guys because I need to do a little bit more homework here. I'm going to favorite Schmid. I will favorite Victor Perez and Keith Mitchell. I know what Keith Mitchell is about, but I'm worried about that. I need to look at that again. And I want to see if we sort this by putting. Yeah, okay. So putting from 10 to 15 feet. Yeah, Montgomery's in there. He's top 5. Ryder. Okay, I just want to see some of the other guys that scored well for me. David Skins pops in. He's actually a pretty good score as well. 72. David Skins, $6,700. He's 18th in my model. Really good putting and birdie making numbers. Interesting. Okay. Wow. We got work to do and we're going to get it done. Wednesday, live chat, 3 p.m. Eastern time, WWT or Abu Dhabi. Talk about anything you want. Stoked to be back home and just rocking and rolling. That's all. Best of luck this week. Talk to you guys soon.